Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. We have a wonderful show here for you today for everyone who is very much into video games or just enjoys video games or likes to hear about what's new in the world of video games. We have Josh Boykin here with us. He's going to be here all hour as we talk all things video games and indeed
Your show
new
will go
releases.
live
So,
in 5
here we go.
seconds.
Everyone, sit
4,
back and enjoy.
3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour one of the Computer America Show. Well, actually, the entire show is hour one. I keep forgetting that that's the thing. But yes, for all of you who don't know and why I'm so confused, is that for the past 20 some odd years, we have been doing 2-hour shows. And while, yes, that is still on the table, still a possibility, but for the foreseeable future, we are going to be having a 1-hour show. So all of you who are used to watching the Computer America Show, it's a bit of a transition, but it's going to be a good one. So yeah, welcome into the Computer America Show. Computer America is the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And today we have a treat for you because it's, we talk about printers, we talk about, lots of techie stuff, lots of computers, lots of laptops, lots of tablets, lots of other news. And, it's all very utilitarian. It's all very, how useful is it and how much more useful is it than what you already own? Or we explain, how do things work? And not always, but, every once in a while, we like to sit back and talk about the fun side of technology. And this is for everyone out there who enjoys computer games, console gaming, VR, mobile gaming. All gamers welcome, and all things video game is open for a discussion here on today's show. So before we get into today's Gamer Tuesday with Josh Boykin, I have some things I really want to mention, including we just had a prize. I believe he's been contacted by Logitech, and he won the Keys to Go. Currently drawing a blank on who won last week. I should really have that handy. But yeah, every Friday we have a winner for Keys to Go by Logitech. It's a very, very nice keyboard, costs $70, and we give one of those away for free every single Friday to someone who follows Computer America on social media, be it Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, what have you. Follow all of them, and you increase your chances, obviously. But all you have to do by supporting us is, we'll contact you and we'll let you know if you won, and we will send that prize out to you. It's as easy as that. And you can find all of the links heading out over at ComputerAmerica.com. And also at ComputerAmerica.com, you'll find, of course, the archives. So if you miss anything of today's show, want to hear it again, or want to find anything that we're talking about, including links to guest websites, links to articles that we talk about, or any other information that you could possibly need, it's going to be over at ComputerAmerica.com underneath today's show notes. And yeah, and like I said, today, the name of the show is called Gamer Tuesday with Josh Boykin. He is a longtime correspondent, or at least it feels like a long time. I know it's only been about 2 years. We should really go back and see when his first appearance was. But yeah, he's a consummate gamer, and of course he is our expert on all things video games. He as I hear, he has been very busy out and about, and he has made a little bit of time by joining us on the phone to do this. So yeah, we appreciate that very, very much. And so let's get into it. With over 25 years of gaming experience, Josh Boykin knows a thing or two about games. Where professionally, he's written about games since 2009, and multiple outlets, and attended multiple industry events like E3 in Los Angeles and the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and more. Josh is the founder of Intelligame.us, and a game culture and criticism site that helps people make deeper connections with games and the world they play them in. He's also senior editor for GotGame.com and associate editor for PopZara. And of course, we have a link to his Twitter handle right there in the show notes. So yeah, help me welcome onto the show, Mr. Josh Boykin. Josh, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
It is going swimmingly, I think. Yeah, that's a good term. It's going swimmingly, and I hope that you're not too busy. It just real quick, was there any reason that you're kind of on location instead of conveniently from your computer?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'm in St. Louis right now. I'm kind of bouncing around doing a couple of different things. I got back from Pixel Pop, which is a 2-day gaming convention here in St. Louis that I'm a really big fan of. But
Right.
just for the sake of internet reliability and whatnot, it's
Right.
a little cleaner to be on the phone today.
I think so too. Oh, okay, and perfect. And we'll get into just what Pixel Pop is and what they cover out there. We have a couple of topics for today's show, and I think the best one, it's it's not the biggest, but it's quickly gaining popularity. Although I may just be buying into it because I'm an avid Twitch watcher myself, so of course Twitch is going to hype up TwitchCon. But yeah, Twitch as a service, with the further integration into Amazon, I don't know if you caught that, Josh, but TwitchCon looks like it's going to be a yearly event, and it's going to continue to develop and grow and grow and grow. Like there's no sign of TwitchCon really going away. Like there's definitely that demand. So I think we should start there. And why don't you tell the listeners what TwitchCon is and a little bit of an outline of what Twitch.tv is, which is obviously kind of the the backbone of TwitchCon.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, I went down to San Diego for my first TwitchCon. And given there were only a couple of them, so last year was the first year, and still a pretty new convention. Honestly, I feel like Twitch as a service still feels very new as well.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv is a website and a service that people will use to live stream themselves. And given if we were going to have this conversation last year, I would have said, this is a place that people go to stream themselves play games. And then that's still a lot of what Twitch is. But you could very much tell from the convention that was held, TwitchCon down in San Diego, that I think everybody kind of in the Twitch ecosystem understands that is shifting.
Yeah.
It's a really strong, powerful, dynamic platform where people are showing a lot more than just playing video games. Now, that's part of its history when it started as Justin.tv. It was primarily for streaming games, but now you can watch anything from glass blowing to improv piano playing to
they do
social eating, they call it.
Yeah, they do every.
They
also do every presidential debate. Like if you wanted the audience to be a bunch of teenagers and young adults and whatever the audience make of a video game watching service, if you want to watch the presidential debates, if you wanted to watch like it seems like they're really broadening it to like I haven't seen many services really try to build a community as well as Twitch I think has done. It like when you're a member of Twitch, like you really feel like, oh yeah, there are other Twitch people. You start to get the idea of what others on Twitch think. Like it's a really good example of an online community.
Yeah, I think Twitch's power comes Twitch's power does come from sort of the macro Twitch community, but I think that what creates that are the micro communities that revolve around individual streamers. I didn't really feel like I understood this until I spent some time at TwitchCon. There's this convention of thousands of people. It's smaller than E3 or some of the other conventions that we talk about, but it's definitely growing. And you could see that these panels where you have 3 or 4 streamers and their followings would range. Some folks would have a couple hundred followers. Other people would have thousands or tens of thousands of followers and be partnered with Twitch where they have contracts and abilities to make money through Twitch's service. But regardless, there would always be these people in the audience who looked at these streamers like celebrities, people who, just as much as Tom Cruise or any of these names that you would recognize. And I started to get the feeling that I never knew if I was walking by somebody who actually had like tens of thousands of Twitch followers. I think it's the small communities that revolve around these individual streamers that make the system feel so powerful. And then when you have an event that kind of brings the entire Twitch community together, you have an opportunity to highlight the diversity of the community while also, having some of these similar in-jokes. One of the most popular in-jokes on Twitch is Kappa.
Yes.
This particular emote with this, and I don't know the guy, I just know that it's a black and white face of a guy that's often used to denote sarcasm. And it in just the same way that if you've worked, let's say that you've worked at a grocery store or you've worked at a Walmart or something, and you have certain like Walmart specific inside jokes, you also have very Twitch specific inside jokes. And I think that's what makes that community so strong, and what is making it increasingly attractive to companies and sponsors, because they see the influence that these Twitch streamers are having, and they want in on the business.
Right. So, TwitchCon, as you said, it's a few years in, and it's obviously it is obviously still growing. I just want to mention real quick that, of course, Amazon purchased Twitch for I think about 2 years ago for like $1 billion or something like that. It was some crazy amount.
It was 950 million.
That one. And yeah, they purchased it, and everyone thought this was the end of Twitch. That's with by being bought by the huge corporate entity that is Amazon, that things would go all topsy-turvy, the crackdowns would begin, people wouldn't be able to stream what they wanted to. And really, Amazon has been very hands-off ever since they made the acquisition. It was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I saw the first hints of Amazon ecosystem mixing with Twitch, where you could link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and it gave you some free goodies and just kind of value added for Amazon Prime. And of course, for Amazon's sake, if you're a Twitch user and you saw this every day that this person is a Twitch Prime member, then obviously there's hopefully going to be some cross-pollinating between the two. But my question about TwitchCon is that with a huge corporate owner like Amazon, is TwitchCon more for the audience of Twitch, or is it more for companies and others looking for a way to reach a younger demographic? Because as far as Twitch goes, there are very, very few places that I think have such an engaged and youthful audience as Twitch.
So it kind of is both, and it depends on where you are on the show floor. I think that TwitchCon's primary goal is to interact with the community of Twitch. So they fly out a bunch of partnered streamers. There's an expo floor where they've got games available for play. They run a bunch of stuff at night. The conventions go late into the night. They host big parties. There was a giant concert where it was T-Pain and Steve Aoki and Darude all put on sets at the baseball stadium that was across the street.
Not bad.
It very much is a yeah, no, it was a cool show, and T-Pain was like rocking the Steven Universe hoodie. It was pretty sweet. But it was a jacket, not a hoodie. But the point of the story is that honestly, I have not been at a convention that felt as much like a commercial either. The opening keynote talk at TwitchCon was really specifically about a number of integrations between Twitch and really Amazon, or tools that streamers would be able to use to more effectively reach out to their audiences. There is definitely a business angle behind the development of Twitch. And so even if you go as a fan and can still enjoy the games that are on the floor and see the panelists and the streamers that you're intrigued by, they're definitely, Amazon was not stupid when they decided to get this started. And there definitely is a heavy business angle. And folks who are looking to build their streaming communities, or are already large streamers and are looking for sponsorships, TwitchCon is definitely the place to be.
Yeah, no, that is one part of Twitch that I don't think we've really touched on, is that the streamers that we talk about. There have been some that have been around since the Justin TV days. There have been some that have been around even longer, making YouTube videos and then branching over into Twitch. And they have these audiences that are massive. Sometimes they get 100,000 people, or tens of thousands on a daily basis. And just sitting there watching them join a community, play games, play different games. They like the I want to make it very clear that there's an audience for Twitch, which is the everyday person who can watch someone else play video games. You get to see someone maybe very, very good, even world class at a video game play, and interact with them, ask them questions and things like that. But then I think for TwitchCon, the thing that you mentioned right there, where anyone who wants to start streaming on Twitch, it's absolutely free to do that. And if you want to build a community, if you want to make your best go at becoming a popular streamer, at becoming, Josh made mention that sometimes you felt like, some of these streamers, they go out on stage and, they had an air of celebrity about them. And if you want to do that, if you're a 14, 15-year-old and you feel like you are good at, if you're good at video games, or if you're entertaining, or whatever your shtick is, it's free to start streaming on Twitch. And I can see where TwitchCon can come and say, well, here's all the tools that you're going to be using in the near future. Like, I get that, and I think it's good. I mean, the growth of Twitch and TwitchCon, they invite all their most popular streamers out. They really encourage them to go out there and interact with them, because services like Twitch, it's not a pre-groomed thing. Like, it's not like you go and it's not like you go and make sure that you have, like, you're groomed by, let's say, a recording industry, or background. Like, no one picks a Twitch streamer. Twitch streamers make it on their own, and they develop themselves. And I think that's a really attractive part to a lot of people out there who watch Twitch, is that hey, it's people who really want to do this, and they have to do it themselves.
I do think there are a number of, sort of self-made entrepreneurs, obviously, that develop through Twitch, because you do have to, it's about streaming consistently. It's about building that following, knowing your audience. There's a lot of skill to the act. Just like, anybody who's big on YouTube, it's very difficult to just throw up videos and get famous.
Yeah.
At the same time, Twitch is an increasingly crowded space. There are new streamers going up every day because literally you can. It doesn't cost you anything. And a lot of people, may not have dreams of stardom, but there definitely are some systems that seem to be evolving where companies are looking for the next up and coming streamer. Because when you're watching a stream, which is something that I've been trying to do more to better learn the ecosystem, when you're watching a stream, you feel this almost connection with the streamer. And I think it's because even if they're looking at the game, and they'll occasionally look over at the chat and make a statement, but you're spending, what could be hours watching a screen with sometimes just one person on it. And so you feel like you have this connection with this person. And a lot of people who haven't been on Twitch, my dad asked me, when he asked me what's Twitch, he also asked me, why would you just watch somebody play games? And it's the idea that you're interacting with the chat, and then the other people in the chat, but then also the streamer sees the chat, so you can ask that streamer questions or talk with them or whatever, and they can respond to what you're saying. And it gives you this, in the same way that if you're on Twitter and you throw a message, you use an @ message to tweet at a celebrity or whatever, and then they tweet back to you and you're like, oh my gosh, they talked to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same experience. It very much channels a lot of those same motivations. And I think to a lot of positivity, particularly in small streaming communities. I feel like I'm starting to make friends with folks who I just see in the same channels consistently when I watch streams. And Twitch as an ecosystem has some problems. There's some issue with harassment and some other sort of structural integrity issues that I don't think Twitch has really begun to address. But there's a lot of positivity floating around out there too.
Yeah, and like I spend a lot of time on Twitch. Like, Twitch has probably rivaled that of Netflix for me, in terms of just passive watching. Like, I'm very much a passive watcher. I'll turn it on in the background, and I'll go on. I'll do emails, or I'll do something else. and or heck, play video games, and very much a passive watcher. But I definitely do get that sense of community. And there are a few problems. I think harassment is probably one of the biggest, although they have taken great steps to mitigate that. All right, so TwitchCon, obviously for the fans, and there's obviously a business bent to it. Did was there any kind of indication about where Amazon is hoping to take Twitch, or just kind of the overall enthusiasm as Twitch as a platform? Like, because I know there's we actually had the owner Dennis Fong here with us, and when he announced Plays.tv, which is sort of a rival service slash kind of YouTube slash Twitch rival service. And there are rival services out there. Like, just being at TwitchCon, did it feel like there's room for other people, or was it just Twitch is going to be developed even further in the coming year? What was the overall sentiment of TwitchCon?
I'm under the impression that Twitch and as a corollary, Amazon is looking to take the same style of development as many others in the tech sector, which is don't provide the space for your competitors to show up. YouTube, for instance, has their YouTube gaming, which seems to be their attempt to answer the question of Twitch, to have YouTube have some live streaming. And I don't know that anybody really uses YouTube gaming, but Twitch released the capability to upload videos, so you can do pre-recorded content, which I think will be a direct answer to YouTube. Twitch is an ecosystem. They have Twitch Creative. They have a number of different outlets to Twitch that stretch beyond gaming. And so it's not, I think everybody can understand, and if you watch the keynote and listen to the things that the executives were saying, everybody understands that come this time next year, Twitch may not be regarded exclusively as a gaming service. And I think that'll play to the benefit, like I kind of opened up the show with. You can watch any number of things that are not connected to gaming. There are people streaming, making cosplay costumes, and they had a cosplay competition. There are people streaming, doing improv piano, and before the keynote, they had one of their improv pianists give like a 30-minute set. They had an entire artist alley where they showed people who have drawings and paintings and sculptures and all sorts of different stuff. Twitch is a much deeper well than just gaming content, and I think that they're going to capitalize on that.
Very, very interesting. I think Twitch, for a lot of people, gained notoriety when they had the marathon of Bob Ross, of course, and they showed the entire joy of painting there with him. All of his seasons, all the episodes, in a huge marathon, and it really showed that even something as simple as a show about painting, filmed 30 plus years ago, where I did read a lot of comments that Bob Ross doesn't read chat, and for obvious reasons. Bob Ross recorded those videos 30 plus years ago, but it just showed that put on glass blowing, put on painting, put on cosplay, put on put on anything, and people will sit there and they'll interact with the community. A similar interest breeds friends, and that's what you're going to get. So it's really good to hear that Twitch is looking to develop beyond just the platform where you stream video games, but really, just a community hub. And I think Twitch can do a really good job if they do that. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. And one other kind of example I want to bring up about the community that can happen in Twitch. This happened I want to say about 3 days ago. And it was, and of course, car accidents happen every day. They're tragic, and many people pass away. And one of them was actually a Twitch streamer. He was very, very popular. He had a few thousand fans, and of all things, he was in a car accident. I want to say October 3rd, I want to say, or 2nd. Anyways, he passed away sadly, and during his funeral, they actually live streamed the funeral from to Twitch. And someone set up a video camera, they turned on his stream, and about 10,000 fans of this gentleman came out and paid respects to, during the stream, talked to each other. And, obviously, I'm sure later on the family looked back and read the chat of what was said. But it just went to show that, yeah, there's video games. Yeah, there's arts and crafts and things like that. But even something as weird as a funeral can go on Twitch and really emphasize that these are people. Like, it's not just, glossed up, glammed up Hollywood celebrities. No, these are just everyday people who are trying to build a community around themselves. And for Philip Klemenov, who was the gentleman who passed away, he did exactly that. And, it showed a lot of people came out and showed support for something as unorthodox as a funeral of all things on Twitch. And I thought that was really nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously it's difficult when any member of a community dies. Actually, a friend of mine, Josh Millard, who helps run Metafilter, recently wrote about this on Medium when a member of the Metafilter community passed, and he had to have that announcement and have that discussion. But I do think that it's also breathtaking that we were able to utilize technology to help people who care about this guy, who cared about Philip, be able to pay their respects and, help to sort of perpetuate the community that he worked to create. So
right.
I hope that we're able to find ways to use technology like that more in the future.
Right. No, it goes to show that, I mean, communities on the internet are not a new thing. They're one of the first things that happen. Of course, in the very beginning, it was, tech support communities, and user groups that were actually, in person. But, you started these little tiny knit communities, but I can see it going into the future where I think the masses kind of used, things like Facebook and email and other services like that to coordinate their real life acquaintances with people who they, by using the internet and using, all the different tools we had to kind of coordinate our real life friends and associates. And I think it's going to be completely possible in the future that almost everyone is going to have their own online community. Be it Facebook, and it's going to be a Facebook group or what have you, be it through Twitch, be it through YouTube, be it through, I think the idea of joining an online community is definitely spreading, at least among the younger audience. The older audience, you mentioned your father there for a second, he asked, why would someone sit there and watch someone play a video game? And I think a lot of people, the older generations will say, well, why would you join an online community? You're never going to meet these people. Why are you just sitting around talking to these people you're never going to know? But the idea of a community that you only exclusively interact with through your computer, it's definitely spreading among younger audiences, I feel. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So yeah, and all right. So that is TwitchCon, and of course, the gentleman who had a funeral played live on Twitch. It was definitely a different way to go about it. But yeah, and we're coming up short here on the break, so let's just lightly touch on a different topic. And I think we're going to go into, let's do Pixel Pop, because you went out and you attended Pixel Pop. And so why don't you real quick tell us, what is Pixel Pop? Where is Pixel Pop? And yeah, what did you see out there?
So one of the benefits, I think, of getting deeper into the game journalism is having the opportunity to learn more about not just these large events, but also smaller communities. And so Pixel Pop is an event that's been hosted in St. Louis for the past, this was the third year. And I was actually invited out to give a talk and also moderate a panel. And so it was a really awesome opportunity to see some of the more intimate side of conventions, where TwitchCon was definitely a large glitz and glamour and a lot of money scenario. Pixel Pop gives you the opportunity to really interact with a community directly, to see games that you might not see otherwise, and to have some in-depth, pretty meaningful conversations. It was definitely a good show, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about it a little bit more, I guess, after the break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time for a break.
No, the break is going to happen here in about 30 seconds. But it was really cool that they invited you
Oh,
out to speak.
I didn't realize we still have 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So it was really cool that they invited you out to speak. We're going to talk about which panel you are actually a member of, kind of hosting, and also what you talked about out there, because obviously when it comes to indie and video games, that is only a growing sector. So there we go. Music means we're going to take a break, and Josh, stick around. We have a lot more to talk about. And for everyone else, you stick around as well, because we are going to come back with Pixel Pop and the Pixel Pop Festival, which Josh was a member of and went out there to speak at. And we also have many, many more, including upcoming games and even some talk about Star Citizen. So stay tuned for more here on Computer America.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I'll bet global warming never reaches her. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Nature Valley Chocolate Oat Bites. Yeah, it's a cereal. A trainer used to say, when you feel like a cookie, have cereal instead. Everybody says days start better with a good breakfast, and it's just common sense that a bowl of cereal for lunch can be a lot healthier than fast food or vending machine chow. So when General Foods debuted new Nature Valley Chocolate Oat Bites, we bit, and that bite was pretty yummy. Dark chocolate stripes on little oat squares that don't go soggy in milk are enough of a story. At least enough for us, without going into all the not-so-healthy things that are not part of the recipe here. So bottom line, and it's all about productivity, with Nature Valley Chocolate Oat Bites as your breakfast or lunch, you can start half a day's work with a smile. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Hello, and welcome back into the Computer America Show. We are just in the middle of it, so if you're tuning in just now, congratulations. Check us out at computeramerica.com for what you missed already, and of course, any show notes for any kind of links or anything that we talk about here on the show. You can find it there at computeramerica.com. I don't mention the website enough, in the middle of the show, so there we go. And yes, for the entire hour or the entire show today, we have Josh Boykin here with us, and he is our gamer correspondent. And of course, we were just getting into Pixel Pop, which is yet another convention. It seems like you're being run ragged around the world, or at least around the U.S. Which is good, Josh. Which is definitely good. And so let's get into, kind of why don't we do your role there, and because I'm very interested about what you were asked to speak about, or what you chose to speak about, and then talk about the panel that you did, and then what else you saw out at Pixel Pop. So yeah, let's start with you.
Sure. So just to give a little bit of backstory, actually, Pixel Pop was one of the first conventions that I went to, sort of like independently freeform as a game journalist. I'd been to a couple other events where I'd been hit up with a press release or something, kind of called me, but I a little more organically found out about Pixel Pop, and I showed up, and I was just really taken in by sort of the intimacy of it compared to larger events like C2E2, the Chicago Comics Entertainment Expo. So I've gone back the last couple of years, and then this year I was invited. I did give a talk last year about becoming a game journalist, and it was a decent experience. Obviously, I've been writing about games since 2009, so I had something to talk about. But this year, I also had the privilege of having a year of IntelliGame under my belt, where I had a little bit more opportunity to delve into different styles and experiments with writing that I hadn't done before. So I gave a talk about the idea of being a game journalist, and being able to talk about things from a perspective that also integrated personal events. And at IntelliGame, I've written articles about, how it's really awkward to be at a show like E3 that celebrates video games, and a number of those are violent video games, and that, happened days after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida. Or how when Pokemon Go came out, everybody was super excited about that, except that it came out less than 24 hours after Philando Castile was killed in Minnesota. And so, it's kind of hard to feel like, as a black man, I'm going to walk around all of these neighborhoods and randomly catch Pokemon when there's these bigger questions. So I was able to give a talk about dealing with those kinds of issues, and then finding ways to integrate them into your writing, if that is actually what you decide you want to do. Obviously, there are a number of different styles of games press out there, and each of them have their respective communities that they serve and are important to. And I think that it was just an opportunity for me to reflect and think about those experiences.
Right. So, and just to be clear here, you're not in favor of compartmentalizing, your journalism. Like, you think that, and obviously by the introduction that we have for you, you're very much the video games that we play and how they relate to the larger world around you. So you're not in favor of compartmentalizing, there was a shooting in this place and it was against this group of people, but hey, check out this game. It's really, really cool. Like, you're not in favor of, kind of saying this is this and that is that, and that's it. Like, you really do enjoy tying the cultures and the events together, don't you?
I think it's pretty evident, even in just the discussions that we've had on Computer America. It's, to me, important to understand that we're part of, gaming is essentially, it's a really privileged hobby to have, right? I mean, it's inherently kind of expensive. You have to have, when it comes to video gaming, there's hardware that you have, either a smartphone or a console or a PC. And there's an entire world that is changing around us, sometimes in scary ways. And for me, it's important to understand that the time that I'm spending with games is contributing to my ability to address those scenarios. Now, I understand that just in the same way that there are some people who read books for escapism, and then there are some people who read books to help them better understand the world around them, there are plenty of people who play games for the same way. Some people play games as an opportunity to have sort of a respite from the world around them. And I totally think that there's a time for that. But for those times when people are looking to delve a little deeper and to make those connections and to find a community that's interested in doing the same thing, that is what IntelliGame is for.
Right. And of course, we have a link to IntelliGame there in the show notes if you want to check that out, which we highly recommend you do so. And so, getting back to Pixel Pop, you obviously talked about, game journalism, and, I'm sure the audience, It doesn't take much for someone to get the idea that, I like video games and, there's something that I enjoy as a hobby. But I think a lot of people need to come to terms with the fact that there are going to be many, many opportunities. Like, you do game journalism, but there's going to be video game music, video game business, video game writing, video game science, video game mathematics. Like if you really do enjoy video games, there's going to be a profession that you can, kind of seek in the video game, kind of ecosystem. So, at any rate,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to move the conversation along to the panel, but if you had something to say, or if you just want to move on.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually one of the benefits of going to particularly smaller conventions like Pixel Pop, is that it gives you the opportunity to have discussions with those people who are involved in the world of gaming that are not just these are the developers or these are the PR people who are telling you about the game. Especially when it comes to indie folks. They are doing everything themselves, from the development of the game to the testing of the game. They are marketing themselves. They are, they're doing the jobs of 20 different people. And you can find a lot of how diverse, large the different work can be in the game community. The panel that I was moderating was very much of a similar tone, I guess, to the talk. It was called Games, What's the Point? And we ended up actually turning it into more of a roundtable where we had members of the audience talk with our panelists. I had 3 really fantastic panelists, Carol Mertz from Butterscotch Shenanigans, Nicole Klein from Cardboard Fortress Games, and Rob Santos, who is a teacher and also has done a number of independent projects, including developing a Flappy Bird clone for the NES called Flappiness. But all of them have their own individual connections with gaming that I think resonate with a number of the things that we've already discussed. And so it also gave some folks in the audience an opportunity to share their stories about the ways that gaming has been important for them. And it was a really great experience and gave us an opportunity, I think, to share some space in a way that I haven't seen, particularly at larger conventions where you might be in a room with 100 or 200 people and don't really have that opportunity to share.
Right.
So it was refreshing, particularly coming from a convention that is so stimulating and almost overwhelming at times as TwitchCon. But I do think that, just to kind of connect the two, if anybody wants to take a large scale takeaway, it's attending conventions is really just a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity if you're looking to make inroads into the game industry. It's a great opportunity if you're looking to play new and exciting games, particularly before they've been made. There's a game I'm really excited about that I played at Pixel Pop called Battle Cakes. And it's a sort of, they style it as a sort of a light version of Final Fantasy VI, like a light JRPG, but you play as cupcakes. And they're roaming around, and like there's a turn-based battle system. You can choose to befriend or combat the enemy. There's a lot of humor in it. And Volcano Bean Studios they're the groups that are putting it together. And being able to play those like small, interesting kind of experimental games that are willing to take some risks. You see a lot of those at smaller conventions, and you meet people in those communities who maybe will get you interested in creating a game or marketing a game or what have you. So it's a worthwhile time.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it. And there are many conventions, and smaller ones like Pixel Pop, of course, larger ones that we see every single year. Just check out your local community. I know that Comic-Con wasn't too long ago, held over in New York, and yeah, there's lots and lots of opportunities. I've only ever been to CES myself, looking to get out there to some others, but no, it seems like a really good opportunity. All right, so that was Pixel Pop. We did TwitchCon, and I think we have enough time to get into some other topics. Let's see, I actually just lost where my topics were. Here they are. All right, so yeah, so barring any other further conversation about Pixel Pop, I thought we could get into the some of the trends in video games, and one of the trends that is a long time developing, and I think mostly it popped up with mobile games, and it's kind of bled its way into the rest of the gaming industry, for better or for worse. But the idea of microtransactions, where their transactions, there used to be only one macro transaction for most video games. You pay $20 for a game cartridge for Nintendo 64. You pay $60 for a disc for Halo on your Xbox. You pay whatever it is, that one-time fee upfront for a game, and you own everything about that game. That is starting to become the rarity and the exception to the rule, that most games out there, or at least that most games out there, they have some form of microtransactions, which it allows the game to be in support for longer. Because if you just have that one upfront cost, then after you sold all your copies and the amount that you sell on a day-to-day basis drops down, it doesn't really make sense to pump more money into it, because you're supporting a game and a fan base that is not giving you anything else. So it's throwing bad money after good. But I think one of the examples of a game that has really tried to monetize microtransactions is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And if you want to talk about longevity in a game, look no further, because it's still getting updates, although I think the last major one was at the beginning of this year, and it just received a minor one a couple weeks ago. But Counter-Strike Global Offensive been out for many, 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 many years, because it's such a refined and just kind of raw, at its core, good first-person shooter tournament style. Anyone can pick it up and play, but it takes a really, really good person to play it really, really well. So yeah, it has, like, as far as esports go, and we've talked about esports here on the show before, but as far as as a sporting event to watch, CS:GO is right up there with the best of them. But Josh, where I wanted your input was, first of all, just to give everyone an outline, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, they used to have these things called graffiti, where you get a spray can, you spray what you want, and you used to be able to upload your own images and spray your own images as graffiti. Of course, there was problems with abuse in that system, where I think people were spraying pornography. That was a popular one, as well as hate speech, and just whenever you let the community do whatever it is they please, they'll do it the wrong way in a lot of ways. So they did away with graffiti, and then through a massive grassroots movement, they brought it back. But they brought it back in that you can only get certain ones, no more community, or if it is community, it has to be approved. It has to be approved by Valve, and you can only graffiti 50 times before you have to go back and purchase more graffiti that, let's say you already own. Like, it costs every time you spray graffiti. So I was kind of wanting to get your input on this, Josh. Microtransactions, and more specifically the CS:GO one, is there really a right way to do it?
Well, I mean, when it comes to microtransactions, the right way is whatever customers are willing to pay for. Right now, people are used to a certain style of system, so obviously there's going to be a lot of outrage when you change something like, limiting the amount of graffiti, or limiting the number of times somebody can use a particular tag. Obviously, companies are always looking for ways to make more money. I'm guessing that Valve did a pretty significant amount of analysis before making this change, and also understood that there would probably be some rage involved as well. But I mean, I think time will show, right? If customers are unhappy with that system, they're not going to pay for it, and then Valve will adjust it as necessary. Maybe they'll let you do 100 sprays. Maybe they'll let you do 200 sprays. I don't really know what their tactic will be, but I'm also not under the impression that this is a significant revenue risk. Otherwise, I don't know why they would have changed the system. I think this is, microtransactions as a whole are always a big debate within the gaming community, because it definitely is seen as a form of nickel and diming, and in many cases it is. And particularly for those of us who are older school gamers, who are used to paying for a game, and paying maybe $40, $50, $60 and being done with paying for it,
Right.
these little opportunities to extract 99 cents or $1.99 feel a little intrusive. But I think it's also probably worth pointing out that for a number of these games, they are a lot cheaper than your traditional full price retail game. Counter-Strike Go, when it's not on sale, I believe is $19.99. A lot of these free-to-play games are exactly that. They are free to play. And so there are people who I've seen who have paid money for these microtransaction games and have paid less money to play that game for 3 months or 6 months or a year than I might pay for a game that comes, a new insert AAA title that I pay $60 for, and then maybe I don't get to it for a year or 2 years or 3 years because there are so many other games I pick up. And then by that time, the game has depreciated to the point where it's a $20 game. And, where did that $40 go? $40 is just gone. Whereas when people pay for microtransactions, they're getting theoretically instantaneous value. There are ways for these microtransactions to be exploitative, but I do think that there are ways that companies can use them to responsibly make more money from their products and make their games more sustainable.
Yeah, and we're seeing that with of course Counter-Strike Go, because there was some pushback and there was some there was some pushback, there was some outrage, but I think it was taking a system that was definitely called for and implementing it. So like if you don't like the way that they implemented it, then nothing gained, nothing lost. But if you did like graffiti and you're not happy with the microtransactions, then then you have a legitimate grievance, and the best way is just to not give them your money. But for Valve, it was very much a situation of, well, if they don't like it, they won't purchase it, which they didn't have the option before, so nothing lost. And if they do like it, then hey, we just made $1 here and there off of a couple tens of thousands of people. That's a pretty good revenue source. So like you said, it's an ongoing conversation with microtransactions. There's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it, and I think at least with a lot of video games out there, when it comes to cosmetic stuff that isn't directly tied to finishing the game or being competitive in the game, if it's just cosmetic, I think people are willing to either ignore it if they don't have the money or purchase it for a minimal amount. And hey, it's cosmetic. It doesn't change anything. So, it's good to hear where you come down on that one. And I think the last topic that we can kind of get into, and this is more of a topic of conversation because recently there was a game called No Man's Sky. Have you heard of that one, Josh? No Man's Sky.
Yeah, we've never talked about No Man's Sky on the show before.
Never, ever. So No Man's Sky, I think it just received a new award the other day as being the most disliked game on Steam. And it's pretty not good. When you have a game that was so hyped, it was so well marketed by Sony, and it was so just overall anticipated by the community. I'm sure you've seen the commercials. There was a commercial on I believe that played in front of in movie theaters, kind of hyping it up, and then it came out, and the initial reaction, like the immediate stay up till midnight and play it right at release, was, oh my god, this is awesome. And then the game went to about 7 hours played or 10 hours played for most people, and they realized there is no depth to this game at all. So it went from overwhelmingly positive and overwhelmingly anticipated to what is now overwhelmingly negative, and that is a direct quote. A direct quote from Steam, and overall is a mostly negative reviewed game. And again, still costs $60. So it went from super anticipated. And the reason I bring up No Man's Sky in front of Star Citizen is because No Man's Sky promised to be this procedurally generated game where it was different creatures or different planets or different ecosystems or different missions or different being whatever it is, all made by a computer, put together in random order which led to trillions of permutations, I think was their thing. And, of course, the trailer was missing a lot, but the idea of having a procedurally generated universe and then having nothing to fill it, I think really stuck with a lot of people. Where, yeah, sure, you can make these huge minor differences between all of these, but if you don't give us anything to do in the universe, then we're going to get bored really quickly. And that's where I want to bring up Star Citizen, is that Star Citizen has shown off their procedurally generated planets at CitizenCon. I guess today is a day all about conventions, and CitizenCon was just announced. And I was hoping, Josh, did you get a chance to see any of the footage out from CitizenCon, or?
No, I haven't looked at other cons.
Right.
But did you see something in particular that stuck out to you?
The audience went wild when they were able to kind of go from orbit in a planet, and they're able to zoom all the way down, go onto the planet's surface, fly by a little guy with a flag, and fly between the trees. Like, they were able to, in one instance, fly from planet to planet and have an entire planet kind of just sitting there waiting for you to explore it, to mine it, to kind of do things. Like, they had some gameplay demonstration of kind of like a Halo-esque kind of first-person shooter, explore kind of thing. But the part that really stuck out to me was, yeah, you have this whole planet, but I don't know how you're going to be able to populate all these different planets and with varying amounts of missions. I mean, Star Citizen has been around for a while, and it's highly anticipated. But, I mean, Josh, do you think there's ever going to be a point where you can, like, there's a reason video games before procedurally generated, became the word of the day. There's a reason before that some video games felt like a hallway that you just kind of experience the story. It's very hard to give people open world and make that a compelling experience. It's much easier when you have a hallway. So I'm kind of wondering, how you feel about, yeah, sure, you can create a multi, 1,000 planet system where you can fly from planet to planet, but is there ever going to be a way to fill it with interesting things?
Well, I mean, I think players of Skyrim and Minecraft would argue with the idea that an open world game can't be compelling, or that it would be easier to make a compelling game with a linear narrative. I prefer games with linear narrative, but that's because I want a specific story. I want to learn something by the end, so to speak. I think the difficulty with No Man's Sky, based on what I have heard, I will stress, and not what I've played, because it doesn't sound like my kind of game,
right,
is that though it had all these tons of different permutations and all of these different planets that you could explore, as you went through and explored a lot of them, they just felt very similar. So even if there were different random procedurally generated aliens, a lot of those aliens felt the same. A lot of the tasks that you were taking on, essentially just harvesting different resources to make your ship better, felt the same. There just wasn't the type of variety or the depth to the system that was necessary to make the game feel compelling. My hope is that with Star Citizen having this massively funded Kickstarter and going years beyond its projected completion date to make this very large, very wide scope game, that they are able to somehow still make that gameplay compelling. I do think there are a lot of people who are looking at the perceived failures of No Man's Sky, because I will point out that even though it is rated as overwhelmingly negative, there are a lot of people out there who actually do enjoy the game and enjoy sort of the peacefulness of the exploration. I was just talking with Samantha Kalman at Pixelpop.
Right.
She is the developer of a game called Centris, and was talking about how she enjoyed No Man's Sky from that perspective. There are lots of people who like to get out there and express their anger, but it will be interesting to see how Star Citizen tries to learn from those lessons to hopefully make a game that's successful.
I think a lot of people were jaded by No Man's Sky, obviously, because the people creating the game, they had a vision, And even in their advertising that they still have, you can still go look it up. Many of the features that they promised were not included with the game, or at least not shipped with the game, even though they said they
Right.
would be. So, I can see where people felt that they didn't get what they paid for. And for that, never works well for video games. But hey, Star Citizen, it has had its troubled past. It's going to come out here soon. And they even have a campaign that takes place within it. Hey, maybe it might be good. We'll definitely have to keep an eye out on it. But Josh, anything you want to tell listeners to check out? Your Twitter, your website. What do you want to say?
Yeah, you can find me at Wallstormer on Twitter. You can find Intelligame at Let's Intelligame on Twitter, or at intelligame.com. It's been great.
All right, thanks again. And yeah, we will have you back on again, second Wednesday of the month next November. So yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, hopefully we'll also meet up out at CES this year, if you're planning on going. So, and for everyone else out there who is listening, thank you for tuning in to Gamer Tuesday. It's been a lot of fun. And see you tomorrow with Sandy Burger. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye. And for everyone out there listening on the video portion of the show, thank you for joining us out here. It's been very, very fun talking to Josh. I know he had to join us by phone. He normally does it by Hangout, and we usually have, a much different connection / more video effects. But it is what it is, and it's been fun anyway. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope all of you have a great day. And tomorrow we have Sandy Berger here with us, where we'll be talking all about new products that she has reviewed over the course of the last couple months, actually, since she has been out and had to cancel the last few times. So, yeah, join us here tomorrow, same time, same place on Computer America. Bye, everyone. Thanks.